Libertarian presidential nominee Gary Johnson could get more votes than any third-party candidate in 20 years if current polling holds that, according to the New York Times. It comes after Johnson picked up a substantial endorsement over the weekend from the Richmond Times-Dispatch in Virginia. The editorial board has endorsed Republicans for president for the past 36 years. This time, members said they could not back Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. They also called for Johnson to be on stage at the debates beginning later this month. He needs an average of 15% in major polls for that to happen. Recent polling shows Johnson around 8 to 9%. Susan Ferricchio joins us in Washington, chief congressional correspondent for the Washington Examiner. Susan, happy Labor Day. Thanks for being here. So I plucked the main point from the editorial board of the Richmond Times-Dispatch. We'll put it up on the screen. Neither Donald Trump nor Hillary Clinton meets the fundamental moral and professional standards we have every right to expect of an American president. So, I mean, look, it's Richmond, Virginia. It's an important city in the state of Virginia, but it's Tim Kaine's state. What's the impact of this, if any?
Well, it certainly shines a positive light on Gary Johnson right now. He could really use it, and they also make that key demand that he be included on the debate stage, which Johnson himself has said is absolutely critical if he's going to have any impact in the general election. So it's important, and it's also important because Virginia is a swing state. It could become, especially, you know, in your previous report where Peter Doocy was talking about the polls tightening in other battleground states, you know, Virginia could be critical. And so he's extremely important. He's polling 8 or 9% to 11% in Virginia right now. That's a lot, depending on which polls you're looking at.
Let me put this in perspective historically. Ross Perot ran in 1992. He got almost 19% of the popular vote, and because of it, it helped Clinton beat George Herbert Walker Bush. So he was a spoiler. Nader got only 2.74% in 2000, but hey, that was a nail-biter. It was so close that many people think he made the difference, hurting Al Gore. So it doesn't take much, honestly, in a close race for Johnson to be the difference.
If Virginia is the difference. I mean, Florida, when you had Nader, the Nader factor, Florida went for Bush, and that's why he won the electoral count, even though he did not win the popular vote. Virginia is very important. It's also, you know, we have to also, Greg, talk about what is the impact of editorials these days. Are these endorsements important? Let's face it, the Richmond Times-Dispatch has endorsed McCain and Romney in what was once a red state, and the state went for Obama. So you have to look at it that way. But even more importantly, though, who does Gary Johnson attract? Interestingly, he does attract young people who certainly Hillary Clinton is going after, and young people are a tough one for her because don't forget they were all going for Bernie Sanders, and so she needs to win them over. Now you've got a candidate who is socially liberal, basically on a lot of issues, who could hold a great appeal for young people who just aren't willing to embrace Hillary Clinton. I talked to many of them at the Democratic convention, so they're out there. Also, independents. Independents are in some ways considered a key part of the electorate, and especially amongst undecided voters, who are, many of them, independent voters. Well, he does well with independents.
You know what's astounding is Donald Trump does so abysmally among millennials. A McClatchy-Maris poll came out. He's in 4th place among people under 30. Clinton has 41. Johnson has 23. Stein, the Green Party candidate, has 16. Donald Trump's way at the bottom with 9. And it's not just millennials. Obviously, we've been talking recently about his poor showing among African Americans. He's behind 46 points among Hispanic. He's down 20 points among women to Hillary Clinton. I mean, these are bad numbers.
They are, and if you look at Gary Johnson's numbers, he does much better than Trump when it comes to African American and Hispanic voters. So you're right, he could draw away from these key elements. I mean, Trump has not been able to gain much ground with these groups, despite him, you know, saying that's what he wants to do.
I'm up against a hard break, but Susan Ferricchio, thanks for being with us. Have a great day.
You bet.